Your defense sucks, and your defense can't make a play.
They're fragile right now in terms of their mental. In terms of their relationship, the offense, the defense, and the Detroit Lions as a whole, it's a fragile situation right now.
Dude, do not let Matt Patricia beat you. Stick that pencil where it don't shine. If you can't hold this offense to 24 points or less,
over.
Aaron Glenn's got to go.
You know, you're talking about Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. And Braylon, this is something that you bring up quite a bit. Let's be honest about things, too. Ben Johnson, if you look at the Lions depth chart today, right now, at this moment, 7 of their 11 starters are first or second round picks. 7 of 11. If you look at the Lions' defensive starters, 4 of the 11 are first or second round picks. Aiden Hutchinson and Jeff Okudah. Then you have Charles Harris and Michael Brockers. Michael Brockers in 2012. Charles Harris, he's a 6-year veteran, so what's that, 2017? Yeah. So, you know, I mean, they have spent way more resources on the offensive side of the ball opposed to the defensive side of the ball. So I just don't think that can be understated enough. This is a long-term process, but nonetheless, very frustrating.
It's a long-term process, and it's very frustrating. I think for the Lions fans, it's very frustrating from this standpoint. Maybe, well, not maybe. What you guys chose to do was you tried to expedite the process that Dan Campbell said. Dan Campbell said 3 years. You guys chose to think it can be done in 2. You guys choose you can win 9 to 10 games. This year, when more realistically, you probably win around 6 to 7. So it's about the expectations. So everybody's panicking now because the expectation. When you see you're close, like you always want to be better. You always feel like you had to, and rightfully so, because you were in the Philly game. Although you really weren't. The score is a little bit more, it looks a little different than it was. I don't think you ever really were in that game. And then you beat the Commanders. Commanders are trash. Then you almost beat Minnesota. But Minnesota, look at for what it is. Minnesota's a rival. You almost always beat Minnesota. Or you almost always split with Minnesota. So you kind of got to throw that one out as well. And then insert the Seattle game. So the only 2 games you're really looking at this year, Seattle and Philly. Why you shake your head?
Well, I shake my head because they were 1 stop away from getting the ball back down by 3 points late in the fourth quarter. I think you do have a chance to win that football game if you could just get 1 friggin' stop. They just couldn't get that
Have
stop.
they shown you that they can get 1 freaking stop?
No.
Okay.
They can't, but that doesn't mean that they're not in the game. I mean, when it comes down to 1 play, if you're asking me if you make 1 play to get the ball back to that offense, you're in that game. Your defense sucks, and your defense can't make a play, seemingly, but you are in the game.
There was a video going on. Excuse me, Brad.
Oh, go ahead.
There's a video of Jared Goff. NFL mic'd him up last week, and you guys can go on Twitter and check it out. I think the Lions have it on there. But he is talking to his offense the whole time. All right, we got it. All we got to do is get 1 stop. If we get the ball back here, we're going to win the game. And once they hit that onside kick, and they should have gotten that, he had his helmet on, running on the field already. Lions thought they recovered that ball.
Thought they did too.
They laid on that ball, but there were 3 Seahawks that stole that thing. You know what happens in a scrum in football.
100%.
But you got to watch that on Jared Goff, how engaged he was. Him and Ben Johnson talking to each other, and he was really pissed about throwing that pick 6. But this wasn't a pick 6 that went 30 yards. It went like 70 yards. I mean, they should have caught up to the damn guy. Never mind. He was pissed at himself. I take my hat off to Jared Goff. I truly do. He could quarterback this team.
But Mass, how many more times can Jared Goff say all we need is 1 stop and they don't get that 1 stop? Yeah. How many more times
it's going to break
before that starts to seep in? The nicest, cool, trust me. I've been around players, Ryan Ermanni, whether it was quarterback, whether it was offensive lineman, whether it was running back, that were just very positive people, that were good people, that were good teammates, that were, we had good offense, and they would say things like that when we had bad defense. It's like, come on, we're right there. And eventually the nicest people, the coolest people, the most understanding people, even they get pissed off. Even they get ticked off. Even they get to a point where they don't want to talk to the players on defense. Even they get to a point where they don't want to do interviews with the media anymore because they're sick. They're sick and tired of the same old thing. That's got to change this week because it's about they're fragile right now in terms of their mental, in terms of their relationship, the offense, the defense, and the Detroit Lions as a whole. It's a fragile situation right now because if the defense, they legitimately are in a space. Got to see something out of them in Miami. And then you get a bye week, and I think the bye week can happen it's happening at the perfect time. You can say early on, and we'll talk to Loans about this in a second. You can say early on, I hate when the bye week is early. You need it later on in the year so that you can, really get yourself together and it'd be perfect time. I think it's happening the way their schedule is played out at the perfect time.
I think we're going to learn a lot about the Dan Campbell coach team as well. We mentioned this with Michigan State in regards to the Ohio State game. We're going to see how this team, Michigan State, feels about their head coach, Mel Tucker. Are they going to put up a fight or are they going to lay down? Conversely, we're going to find out how the Detroit Lions players feel about Dan Campbell and, quite frankly, Aaron Glenn.
I would say defensive players feel about Aaron Glenn.
Exactly. Are they going to put up some freaking resistance here? Or are they going to lay down to a rookie quarterback in Bailey freaking Zappi? Let's be honest about this.
It's basically the same mirror situation in East Lansing. Their defensive coordinator down here in Allen Park, our defensive coordinator. One of them or both of them got to stand up.
Are you going to lay down, Maz, or are you going to
listen?
Are you going to fight here?
There's an extra kicker in this game that we haven't brought up, and it's Matt Patricia. He's running that offense over in New England. Yeah, Belichick is the offensive guy, but it's the guy who's calling the plays right now is your former head coach here, the guy that left here with his head between his, what. Anyway, he hasn't called a great offense yet. They are struggling. They hung in there with Green Bay last week.
Had a chance to win in overtime.
Had a chance to win. If you can't beat this guy, if you can't hold this offense to 24 points or less,
over.
He has to be. So, Aaron Glenn's got to go if he can't go 24 points or less here.
What's your number, Braylon?
24 max.
Yeah, I think so too. For Bailey Zappi and Matt Patricia, 24 has got to be the number. You've got
under even.
24, I'll give you. If you score more than 24 points, something has to change. I think Aaron Glenn might be coaching for his job on Sunday.
And you took the words right out of my mouth. I was trying to find the Lions schedule, and I was going to say this. I know they play New England Patriots this week. Following week is a bye. Who do they come back? Is it Dallas?
Dallas, at Dallas.
All right, here you go. If they give up 25, like if they lose this game and it's the defense, let's just do this. If they lose this game and it's the defense's fault, he's going to have that bye week to figure things out, get a grip on things, and look better in Dallas. If he goes to Dallas and the defense sucks, Aaron Glenn will no longer be your defensive coordinator. He has this week, he has the bye week, and he has a show down in the Big D. He has a show down there fighting for his job. If it doesn't look good in these two games and this one bye week, he will no longer be the coach or defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. I promise you, mark my words.
The Patriots have scored 7, 14, 26, and 24. And last week they were down to their third-string quarterback. So the first 2 weeks they struggled, but the last 2 weeks they seem to be getting going again. They played the Ravens and the Packers, and they put those points up. So, man, maybe 24. Man, 24 sounds about right.
That's not a hot take, by the way. That's just the truth. I've been in this league. I understand this league. That's not a hot take. Oh, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. If it looks like that, New England, bye week you don't get together and you struggle against the Cowboys, it's going to be over.
I don't even think you get Dallas. Remember last year at the bye week, it was after week 8, but it was after that week 8, just before the bye, that Dan Campbell made the decision on Anthony Lynn and ultimately took over the play calling responsibilities in that case. If the defense loses this game to the New England Patriots, I think you are looking at a bye week where you regroup without a defensive coordinator, and maybe you put in Kelvin Shepard or somebody like that in that role until you can evaluate, because you cannot throw this season away. You just can't do it. Not at 1-4.
You can't let Matt Patricia beat you here. Do not let Matt Patricia beat you. That, if anything, someone should roll him on the sidelines. Don't let him beat you. Stick that pencil where it don't shine.